XRP will surpass both Bitcoin and Ethereum to become the world's #1 cryptocurrency. That is the bold prediction made by XRP market commentator Coach JV, who envisions a future where Ripple's token rises above the current giants of the digital asset world. According to Coach JV, the journey of XRP tells a story of resilience. He reminded his followers of the dark days in December 2020, when the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission filed a lawsuit against Ripple. At the time, exchanges rushed to delist XRP, and investor confidence collapsed. Many thought the project would never recover. But fast forward to today, and the narrative looks very different. Ripple has not only survived the SEC lawsuit, but it has emerged stronger. In fact, its executives are now embracing mainstream consumer products tied directly to XRP. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse and Chief Technology Officer David Schwartz recently shared photos celebrating the launch of the Gemini XRP Credit Card. This card, developed in partnership with Gemini, gives users up to 4% cashback in XRP on everyday purchases like groceries, fuel, and dining. Gemini founder Tyler Winklevoss even showed his support by granting Garlinghouse the card's whale limit, a symbolic nod to Ripple's rising presence in finance. For Coach JV, these developments are not isolated. They represent a trend of XRP breaking into the financial mainstream. He predicts Ripple will eventually evolve into a bank and become, in his words, one of the most disruptive companies in the financial system. His bold forecast states, "I believe XRP will be #1 and Bitcoin will be #2. That is my prediction by 2030. So let's see how this plays out." Now let's pause here. Is this prediction realistic? Let's look at the numbers. As of today, XRP has a market cap of about $178.5 billion. Compare that to Bitcoin's massive $2.2 trillion market cap, more than 12 times larger. For XRP to surpass Bitcoin, it would need to add over $2 trillion in value, which translates into a unit price of roughly $38 per XRP. At first glance, that may sound possible. But here's the problem. XRP is currently trading around $3. To climb to $38, XRP would need to surge by more than 1,160%. And that assumes Bitcoin does not move at all. If Bitcoin continues its own growth, the gap only becomes harder to close. In fact, several major industry leaders expect Bitcoin to continue dominating. Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong has predicted that Bitcoin could reach $1 million per coin by 2030. Cardano founder Charles Hoskinson has voiced similar expectations. If that happens, Bitcoin would carry a market cap of over $20 trillion. Against that backdrop, XRP would have to perform a near miracle to flip Bitcoin. So what do analysts actually project for XRP? Forecasts vary widely. Telegon suggests XRP could hit as high as $48 by 2030. Changelly places its maximum closer to $23. Even in the most optimistic scenario, if XRP were to hit $100, a price some hardcore believers argue is possible, its market cap would still remain far below Bitcoin's projected $20 trillion. This raises a critical question. Is Coach JV's prediction an inspirational message or a realistic financial forecast? On the one hand, his optimism is built on real progress. Ripple has indeed expanded its influence. The SEC case is largely resolved, and products like the Gemini XRP Credit Card show an ambition to push XRP into everyday use cases. If adoption keeps growing, XRP could cement itself as one of the top global cryptocurrencies. But when we compare hard numbers, overtaking Bitcoin seems less like a matter of if and more like a matter of nearly impossible. The dominance of Bitcoin is not only about its market cap, but also about its role as the original cryptocurrency and its recognition as a kind of digital gold. Ethereum, too, holds its unique position as the backbone of decentralized applications and smart contracts. In other words, XRP might continue to grow, but flipping Bitcoin or Ethereum requires conditions that the market has never experienced before. For that to happen, we would need an unprecedented shift in global financial adoption, regulation, and investor behavior. So perhaps the most balanced way to see this is to acknowledge both sides. Coach JV is not wrong in highlighting XRP's growth potential and its ability to disrupt traditional finance. But when he says, "I believe XRP will be #1, it is more a vision of hope than a projection grounded in today's data. The numbers, at least for now, point to XRP becoming stronger and more relevant, but not quite toppling Bitcoin or Ethereum. The journey of XRP is far from over. Whether it reaches $23, $48, or even higher, the token has proven that it can survive crises and evolve. And maybe that, more than the idea of surpassing Bitcoin, is what makes XRP worth watching closely.